Hello, I'm Michael from Ivanhoe Cycles. I'm going to go through the different levels of servicing we offer at our stores. There's 5 basic levels that I've broken it down into. One would be a minor service. That's an on-the-spot service. It costs $35. It's just say you've come in, want a quick adjust and get back out riding. We'll do that on the spot for you. The next level up is a kids bike service, where we basically go through all the needs of a kids bike to get it back onto the road. There's also a basic service, which goes through, again, the major components of the bike that need to be adjusted so you can keep riding it. The one I'm going to demonstrate tonight is a standard service. Okay, so standard service. The first thing I'm going to do is put the bike in the big gear front and rear. Basically that'd be low at the rear and high at the front. By releasing the gear cables off, it takes the tension off the cable so you can drop the housings out of their holders. With the housing out of its holder, we can put some Tri-Flow on it, or whichever lubricant you'd prefer to use. By moving the cable up and down, it just spreads the lubricant along there. This reduces the wear that you get on your cables. At the same time, I'd be checking for any fraying or rust or any other signs of deterioration. So after you've lubricated the cable, just clip it back into its housing. Same with the rear gear cable. There's 3 portions of most rear gear cables, so I'm going to clip all of them out at the same time. Again, we'll just put lubrication on the cable at the same time, checking for any wear or problems. As you're working on a bicycle, you're looking at all the components that you're actually working on. So faults or problems would tend to show up. Now what I've noticed with this one is the central cable here has actually come adrift. There's normally a cable tie holding that there. By it hanging down here, it's going to wear on the derailleur or rub against the actual shock absorber or something like that, which is not what we want. So I'll put a cable tie on that later. After I've lubricated all the cables, just drop back down through the gears, which will then allow me to lubricate the chain. Okay, so I'm going to use Rock and Roll on the chain. It's a product we use here. It's got a cleaner as well as a lubricant. By spinning the wheel backwards or just turning the chain around, whichever way you're working on it, and spraying a fair amount of the lubricant cleaner on there. As you can see, there's a little bit dripping off. That's not a problem. So cleaning the chain, by wiping both ways, it helps the rollers to turn in the centre of the chain and work all the dirt and foreign parts out of it. It's also leaving a lubricative wax type layer on the chain, which is fairly dry, so it tends not to pick up more dirt and grime off the road. Okay. These derailleurs are fairly grimy, so I'm going to use a light solvent on both of them just to clean them up a little bit. Again, as I'm going through all these parts, I'm just looking at them to see if there's any wear or see if there's any damage on them other than normal. Give the jockey wheels a bit of a clean. Alright. So in there I've got Earth Choice dishwashing liquid, or any sort of dishwashing liquid, and a bit of water. That's quite good for cleaning the frame and wheels. Obviously I wouldn't spray it directly on the discs, but a little bit on there generally doesn't cause a problem. It's something you wash dishes with, so it shouldn't stay on the area where you spray it that much. So again, while I'm wiping the frame down, I'm just looking for cracks or any problems or things that shouldn't be there. You know, that you may have had a fall and not been aware of what occurred to the bike. So we actually look for all those sorts of things. This is something that the owner of the bicycle should probably do a little bit more regularly. With all this dry dirt on here, it gets in between seals and joints and starts to wear them out. You know, that way a bike might only last 18 months instead of 10 years. Cleaning the spokes is a very important part of the bike to keep clean, because if you leave dirt on the spokes, it gets wet and then dries out, and it'll slowly eat through the paint and cause rust. You know, a spoke costs $2, which is no big deal, but to put it in and through the wheel, you're looking at $25. So it quickly adds up to, you know, a bigger expense on the bike that you didn't need, which could have been avoided just by cleaning. Just a wipe down of each spoke in the joints where they run together, all the way down to the eyelets at the rim. The eyelets are around the nipple or around the nut at the bottom of the spoke. So I'm just cleaning the hubs. Again, it's just, if they're clean, it's actually easier to maintain the bicycle as well. With a disc brake bike, I'd always be very careful what I put onto the discs, and also be careful with my fingers when it's near the disc. Okay, so that's most of the frame wiped down. Now again, with forks and shock absorbers and seals, it's important to clean around them. The seal in here keeps all the dirt and moisture and different things out of the actual fork body inside there, which has oil in it. By wiping around, you wipe the dirt away from the seal. You would never wipe down in towards it. Alright, so that's all the cleaning done. I'm just going to check how true the wheels are. This one actually needs a bit of a true, and the disc's also running out, so I'm going to sort both of those things out. I can hear the discs hitting in one spot, so I'm just going to bend it out a little bit. Still just touching there. So that's the front wheel, that's the front disc true. The front wheel's still a little bit buckled. Now in a service, I'd true the wheel on the bike. There's actually not enough of a buckle there, and it's not out of true enough to take out of the bike. It's not worth doing that. If I don't have to charge you another $25, I'll try and avoid it. I'm going to check the back wheel out now. Now the back wheel's pretty true. The tyre's got a little bit of movement in it, which isn't a problem on a off-road bike. The disc's running fairly true. It's not touching either side. So with hydraulic brakes, I feel the levers for their modulation, for how much they go on and how they feel. They both feel about the same. Looking down at the disc, I can see the front disc moves to the left a little bit when I pull the brake, so it's not centralised fully. I'll sort that out. The rear disc meets the pads onto the disc at the same time, so that's correct. I'll just sort this front one out. So what I'm doing here is, I'm going to hold the brake on and release the two bolts that hold the caliper to the fork. By doing that, I should hold the front brake. By doing that, it centralises the caliper to the disc. So now when I pull the brakes on, the pads meet the disc at the same time. So once all the brakes are sorted out, I'm going to adjust the gears. What I'm going to do is run through the back gears first and make sure they shift crisply and smoothly, both going up the cassette and coming back down. Now this dwells a little bit on the way back down, so I'm going to release the pressure on it a little bit. Which allows it to shift smoothly. Again, I'm looking for smooth, clean shifting and that the chain's not rubbing when it's in either end of the shift. Now that's rubbing on the outside there a bit, so I need to add a little bit of cable tension here. Still just touching. So that shifts up and down neatly now. The other thing both the rider of the bicycle told me and the fact that I could see the O-rings were off the bottom and up to the top on the front and rear shock absorbers, he's doing a little bit heavier riding than he had been doing in the beginning, so he's doing bigger jumps, so he needs a little bit more pressure in his suspension. So I'm going to sort that out for him. With Fox suspension, you can go on the Fox website and find out what you should adjust it for yourself, learn about your rebound, all those sorts of things. So I'm going to put in the pressure that's prescribed by Fox for the guy's weight. So that's the main components of the bicycle serviced. This bicycle will also need torque settings done on all the suspension parts. The headset feels like it's done up, the collars aren't moving, it's not stiff or grindy. The bottom bracket, it's not stiff or grinding. There doesn't seem to be any looseness in there. Again, there is torque settings on all these components, which would be done in a major service. All I've got to do now is get the bicycle on the ground and do a few final checks and then road test it. Alright, so now I've got the bicycle on the ground, I'll just do another few basic checks on it. By holding the seat and lifting up and down, I can feel if there's any looseness in any of the suspension parts, which there isn't. Grabbing the seat front and back, and seeing if it'll actually move. Obviously, if there's any clicking or moving, it's something I'd need to pay attention to. Now, with bolts, the worst thing you could do is just keep tightening them up each time you check them. The best way to do it is loosen the bolt off and then tighten it up to the correct torque. I notice this most with front caps and carbon seat poles, where they've just been tightened and tightened and tightened each time they're checked. I'm using a torque wrench here, which actually tells me that that's already at the correct amount of tension. The last check before I go ride the bike, is there any movement in the front headset there? There's no movement there. The collars actually do move a fraction, so I'm going to tighten that up. Most bicycles these days have what's called an A-head. That's a type of headset and fork setup. Just checking for alignment of the front wheel. Add a small bit of tension to the top cap. Again, torque the bolts to the correct setting. Grips are tight, everything else is working. All that's left is a test ride. There you go, that's the test ride done. If you'd like to get your bike serviced, come and see us at Ivanhoe Cycles. And if you'd like to learn how to service your bicycle for the same charge as servicing it, you can do a lesson with us. And I'll take you through all the basics of your bike. Thanks for watching.